Good afternoon, my name is Blake, and this is a timeline of surveillance and data throughout world history. I will quickly go through some examples. Hope you enjoy. The first use and trace of data dates back to 19,000 BC, when our Paleolithic ancestors would use a tool called the Ishingo bone to perform simple calculations. Ancient Sumerians, who lived in what is now modern-day Iraq, kept written records of harvest and taxes on clay tablets over 5,000 years ago. Later, in ancient Egyptian civilizations, temple complexes were equipped with watchtowers, which were used to monitor the local populations. In ancient Rome, Julius Caesar had put together a spy network to keep himself ahead of the various plots against him. There's a good chance he knew about the Senate-led conspiracy that led to his assassination, even if that info did not help. The Conduct of the Inquisition into Heretical Depravity, written in 1323 by French Bishop Bernard Gouy, outlined the means for identifying, interrogating, and punishing heretics. During the Ming Dynasty, emperors established eunuchs throughout the provinces and local governments, with the role of being a relay of information to the emperor about military personnel, local officials, and any sign of treason or corruption. A London hat maker named John Grant began collecting data regarding the local deaths in the 1640s. He took note of statistics such as the number of deaths, the mortality rate among age groups, and the causes of death. He is documented as one of the first people to use data analysis to understand and solve a problem. The first census in 1790. A census that collected basic data on the gender, color, and identity of free males above the age of 16, noted as the first attempt by the U.S. government to conduct a systematic gathering of information about its citizens through a census. Wiretapping. Wiretapping was one of the first examples of covert surveillance through the use of technology, which began during the Civil War when both the Union and the Confederacy tapped into each other's telegraph lines and copied down the messages. Also during the Civil War, from late 1861 to early 1862, reconnaissance balloons were flown around D.C., allowing the Union Army to protect the capital from any attacks by the Confederacy. Alexander Graham Bell, a notorious inventor and scientist, patented the first microphone in 1876. His microphone consisted of a wire which conducted electrical direct current. In 1916, there was a wiretapping scandal revolving around the New York police. Police tapped hundreds of phones a year to track criminals and suppress labor activism. The ensuing national scandal led to a Senate committee recommending an end to this behavior. Ralph Van Damen, a U.S. Army officer, established state-of-the-art surveillance to put an end to those who resisted U.S. military during its occupation of the Philippines. After his time overseas, Van Damen established a similar infrastructure in the States, forming the MIS, also known as the Military Intelligence Section. In 1924, the Federal Bureau of Investigation had received a legislative mandate to manage a national fingerprint card database, which contained 100 million records by 1946. The House of Un-American Activities Committee was created in 1938 to establish disloyalty and rebellion amongst private citizens, as well as public employees and organizations suspected of having ties to communism. This continued into the late 1950s with the practice of McCarthyism, accusing federal employees of having communist ties and leaking government information. Executive Order 12333, signed by President Reagan in 1981, stipulates how all 17 United States intelligence organizations can collect information about citizens and foreign nationals abroad. January 1st, 1983 is considered the official birthday of the internet. Prior to this, the various computer networks did not have a standard way to communicate with each other. In 1995, Oldsmobile introduced the first car GPS navigation system in the United States, called GuideStar. 4 years later, in 1999, GPS technology appeared for the first time in cell phones, when Benifon released Benifon-esque. Following the terrorist attack on September 11th, Congress enacted the Uniting and Strengthening America Act by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. In the name of national security, this act expanded the government's authority to monitor phone and email communications. In 2006, 14 of the original provisions planned to be subset were made permanent under the USA Patriot Act Improvement and Reauthorization Act. The China National Grid Project was first implemented as a trial in Dongqing District, Beijing in 2004. It coincided with the abolition of the agricultural tax, which reduced the power of local governments in China. In March 2005, Google acquired the Web Statistics Analysis program Urchin, and in November, introduced the first version of Google Analytics. Urchin was initially developed in 1998 and gradually revolutionized the way customers came to engage with their new online medium. PRISM began in 2007 in the wake of the Protect America Act under the Bush administration. This allowed for the collection of data from websites including Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Apple, Yahoo, and more. On September 19, 2012, Apple Maps was released. This was heavily criticized and resulted in a public apology by CEO Tim Cook and the departure of 2 key employees of Apple. The following year, in 2013, the Snowden revelations occurred. Edward Snowden leaked information from the NSA about their surveillance program. These leaked documents included the NSA collecting phone records from millions of cell phone customers, data collected on internet users from Facebook and Google, along with information that the US government was also surveilling overseas. In 2015, the US Freedom Act occurred. This banned bulk data collection while still enabling the government to obtain necessary phone records essential to an investigation involving international terrorism. This was redacted in 2020. Surprise, surprise. In 2018, Christopher Wiley, a whistleblower of Cambridge Analytica, shined another light on the societal issue of data tracking, which would target individuals off social media for disinformation campaigns, typically those who believed in conspiracy theories. For more information, check out his book, Mind. Reports of fear from journalists regarding freedom of speech towards data protection, national security, and spyware abuse were apparent in 2020 Greece. This highlighted serious issues regarding freedom of expression and privacy rights. U.S. versus Hay. In 2023, federal agents installed a pole camera in front of a man named Bruce Hay's home to surveil him without a warrant for 10 weeks, based on accusations regarding him fraudulently claiming disability benefits. Judges found that his action did not violate Hay's Fourth Amendment right, as the camera only displayed public view. Section 702. Due to the quote-unquote Hamas attacks, Christy Abizaid, our nation's counter-terrorist director, urged Senate to pass Section 702. This authorizes the government to collect communications of non-Americans located abroad without a warrant from the court. The FBI has used Section 702 to spy on U.S. representatives, senators, civil liberty organizations, political campaigns, and activists. In Virginia, the Attorney General has initiated an investigation into the non-profit American Muslims for Palestine fundraising activities, including allegations that they support the Hamas, a designated terror group. That is the end of the timeline. I wanted to thank you for watching, and I hope you research some of this outside on your own. I hope you now may feel safer under the tight, regulated supervision that is practiced in our nation. Thank you. And here's a bunch of sources. They will be linked below.